Alright guys, what's up everyone, and today I want to talk about KSI and basically how he's smart for pulling the strategy on Jake Paul. Now, if you don't know what I mean, basically, we all know KSI has been ducking Jake Paul for a while. He said he'd fight Jake Paul after Gib. I know Jake Paul ducked KSI first, but that was when Jake had no boxing experience. KSI beat Logan. Jake wanted to fight him, KSI. And KSI said if Jake beats Gib, his sparring partner, then he'd fight Jake Paul. Jake Paul fights Gib in 2020? And he wins in the first round. And then KSI that hasn't fought him yet, currently. And yeah, it's been a while. And there's been a lot of excuses made, but KSI, he's pulling an Una reverse kind of on Jake Paul. Now, if you don't know what I mean, basically Jake Paul had his fight with Tommy Fury. His team put in a rematch clause, so if Jake loses the fight, he can activate the rematch clause and they'd have to fight again. And after Jake lost, he said that he's mainly focused on the rematch and he wants that before the KSI fight. Now that KSI knows this, he uses this as an opportunity to say that Jake Paul is ducking him. Now, I would say that this is annoying, but I honestly can't blame KSI for doing this because, Jake Paul did this when KSI first returned to boxing. Jake Paul, when Alex Wasabi had a concussion, or, I don't know if that's true or not, because, I made a separate video talking about if Jake Paul was behind, paying off Alex Wasabi to fake a concussion. But if, Jake Paul did this on 3 weeks' notice after, Wasabi pulled out of the main event in KSI's return fight after 3 years, and KSI said to rush in an event, a big event like Jake versus KSI it wouldn't make sense. And yeah, I can see where he's coming from. So Jake and, KSI did pull an Una reverse by, letting Rahman fight Jake Paul on the fight, but Jake Paul didn't say anything about that. But yeah, it's understandable where KSI is coming from because, Jake Paul to fight KSI on 3 weeks' notice when he hasn't boxed in 3 years. Yeah, we know what Jake's doing, but yeah, so him pulling this on Jake, I can't really blame him for it, but yeah, let's talk about KSI. He's trying to make it seem like if he beats Joe Fournier, he's better than Jake. Like, he's making Joe Fournier seem to be like that guy, that boxer, because at the time, when Tommy Fury, before he fought Jake Paul, Fournier had a better record. Now they both have the same exact record, but KSI is making it out to seem like, I'm going to beat a 9-0 boxer, but you can't tell me that if Tommy and Joe were to fight right now that Joe would win. Joe would not win, alright? And yeah, make no mistake, Joe's decent, at least, but there's some things that are like it's not going to be surprising if JJ wins. Because, JJ's trying to hype this up. Make it seem like Fournier is, that guy. He's that guy. He's really good. He's so good. He's a champion. But, nah. He's not as good as JJ's hyping him up to be. He's a 9-0 boxer. Which, yes, if JJ beats him, good on him. But it's not gonna be as impressive, but we'll see if Joe can surprise us, because look, Joe has what he's done to promote the fight, it hasn't been good, right? It makes it seem like he's not challenging at all. Now, make no mistake, I wanted Joe Fournier to be the replacement fighter for Dylan Danis after Dylan Danis pulled out, and we thought that was going to happen since Mams Taylor posted a photo of Joe Fournier when rumors were coming out of Dylan Danis to pull out. But he wasn't the replacement fighter. And yeah, it was pretty upsetting. And Joe Fournier, ended up attending the fight to see KSI knock out Temper, and they had the little face-off there, and yeah, I mean, I don't know, but what Joe's done to promote the fight has not been good, really. I mean, there was this sparring footage that came out, and at first it's like, oh, okay, that was a pretty nice knockout, but then you look at the second knockout in the sparring footage, and it looks pretty fake, and then you look back at the first one, and you can tell that one was probably fake as well. And Joe has also sped up footage to make it seem like he has real punching speed in training. At first I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt because I was looking at the trainer, right? And the trainer doesn't look to be that sped up at all. But Joe's sound is high pitch, and that's not how he usually sounds. It's more slow and deep. So he's released footage now that's decent pad work, but what he's done to promote the fight isn't as good. And KSI, he's doing everything he can to make Jake Paul look like he's ducking him, because Jake wants the rematch with Tommy. But I mean, look, when JJ's excuse for not fighting Jake on 3 weeks' notice was because he had to warm up. I mean, he said he felt like he could beat Jake in the Wasabi face-off, but he says that he had to warm up, which is fine. And Jake fights Tommy. He's not just going to go back and fight Tommy again. I mean, he's not going to be able to improve. KSI has to be able to improve. That's why he has to do warm-up fights. But Jake is not just going to fight Tommy, do the rematch after he just lost to him. It doesn't make any sense. He has to get better and fight other people before he gets the Tommy rematch. So, yeah, it doesn't make sense for that Jake is ducking him. He's not ducking him. Nah. But yeah, JJ's trying to make it seem like Fournier is that guy because, they had a little press conference and Joe Fournier shoved KSI. And now KSI said in an interview with Misfits that Fournier kind of put him in his place.
I think he talked way more than I did, which is definitely unusual for me.
Doesn't help enough, does it?
Yeah, it doesn't. I'm normally the one chirping up and, being overconfident, etc. But yeah, it kind of just it weirdly put me in my place, and I don't know, I didn't really like it.
So yeah, you never see JJ admit that he got humbled or put in his place, and even when talking about the fights, he says stuff like, if I lose this fight, and usually when JJ's up against people, he never says if I lose. He says that I'm not going to lose. There's no chance I'm going to lose this fight. But with Joe Fournier, he's saying if I lose this fight. So what he's doing is he's trying to make it seem like, if he beats Joe Fournier, it's a big deal, and that he's better than Jake Paul because he beat a 9-0 boxer with the same record as Tommy Fury, even though Tommy Fury would beat Joe Fournier, in my opinion, and yeah, and KSI would not beat Tommy. So, I mean, yeah, but it's a smart move on KSI's part. But you guys can tell me what you think.